to normal.
Yep, I think we're all here.
It was because Ken tried.
I tried to tell the truth, but everything shut down. Just like real life, apparently.
The CIA knows everything.
So the real story is, Tiersten and I were at a convention many, many moons ago, and I wound up having to leave to go do a roast for a pro wrestler friend of mine up in New York. And during the time that I was gone, Tiersten decided to stick around in a bar with a bunch of fans and miss a very important Q&A during a screening of Sleep Camp.
50 feet away.
Yeah, it was there in spirit, but not physically.
Right.
So I came back and found out that I was getting blamed for him missing a Q&A, and I wasn't even there. Yet he swears up and down to this day, even as a joke, that it was my fault and I was there and held him back.
It was.
Wow.
No, it really was his fault. I got it. To add clarity to this, it wasn't his fault. And that's why we're best friends to this day, because he had it was like in Animal House with the little devil on your shoulder. That was Ken.
Moving forward after that story, that became
Fuck your brains out.
When I was there.
Exactly.
Ken is the Tiger King, isn't he?
Little Joe Exotic.
No, I think Ken is Carol Baskin.
Carol fucking Baskin.
I still have not seen this yet, so.
You have
Me neither.
Oh God!
I feel like an outsider.
It's so dumb. It's brilliant.
You want to know something stupid? You know what I've been actually binging this whole time because I never watched it when it was on? I'm going through Smallville right now. That's how far back I am.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm watching old episodes of Night Flight, so I'm not even further back.
I mean, I'm kind of like, done with the Mandalorian. So, I've watched all of the, I'm up to all of my Avengers to where now we're just watching clips of the shit. and we're critiquing certain sequences. And why do you think that he did that? And I have an encyclopedia for Marvel. So we'll go back to the series and say, kind of different and blah, blah, blah. No, that's serious.
So by the end of the movie Mandalorian, did you want to take Baby Yoda and just shake the little fucker?
Yes!
It was like the two stormtroopers trying to beat him up.
That was hilarious.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was.
Hey. And Ken Bond, when you just said that about Marvel, he got pretty excited.
Oh yeah, that's what gets my husband hard on too.
I gotta say something.
I wasn't gonna be that graphic.
So I went to Walmart today, and on my way, we went by the movie theater. I don't remember a time. I'm 48 years old. I don't remember a time when I ever seen a theater that had no movie poster up.
Did you take a picture of it?
No, I didn't, but I will next time.
Yeah, it's actually the one thing I miss in all this quarantine is I miss the movie theaters. A dark movie theater is always my drug of choice. Going on off night when nobody else is there on a weeknight, last showing up. Yeah, I miss that.
Man, isn't it? And then you just take a smoke after. It's like the best freaking brain sex ever. Oh.
I was telling JT this coronavirus screwed up my birthday, which is actually coming up on Friday because the new Bond movie was supposed to come up and I was going to treat myself and now I can't do that.
Well, now you'll be able to stream it and watch it at home.
No, they pushed it back to November.
Oh, they're not fucking around. They're not giving up anything.
No, man,
they want to make that money.
Pushed, that new Fast and Furious movie is supposed to come out, and it's not coming out till next year now.
Oh well.
Yeah, the world.
you can just watch that by watching any of the other 20 of them.
Okay, so let's talk about this specifically because.
All right.
And for a sober moment, okay, this is not okay. Our lives are forever changed, all of us. We all know.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Definitely.
And we're making jokes, and that's great. And I'm glad that we're. I look forward to this podcast as a point of levity, throughout my week, because if I don't have that, what do I have? And I think what we're trying to express to the people that, who will watch this is that And it was funny. I heard a doctor, an expert doctor from, I think from Harvard, say, I don't like to call it social distancing. He said, I call it physical distancing. He said, because this is not the time for social distancing. This is the time for socially getting closer.
Right.
So it was a misnamed idea. We're trying to get closer. And that's why we do this. And so I'll get off my high horse of being all sober and ridiculous. But this has been hard for all of us.
Right.
And what I didn't even realize at the beginning is that mitigating is the only way we do anything. You know, I know they came out with the new statistics today. Did you guys hear that?
No, I haven't heard it.
I've stayed away for the news for a little bit. It's too overwhelming right now.
No, it's important.
No, I mean, I watch the news, but it's just, I'm current, but not current enough to know
everything. The bottom line. Here's the bottom line. Between 100, they said, if we do social distancing to the best of our ability, because Florida is going to get hit so bad. I mean, it's going to be so brutal because of what the governor did there, letting spring break go on.
Oh, yeah.
That if we do social distancing to our best, there will be between 100 and 240,000 deaths in the next 2 months.
That's crazy, man.
And if we didn't do social distancing at all, there'd be 1 in 2 million deaths.
That's just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And even your guy, Mike, President Trump, figured it out finally. And said, I guess we're not really opening the place up for Easter.
Yeah, he definitely took another stance today and said, basically admitted this shit's real,
Yeah. No, and because he doesn't even want to take a backseat to Jesus.
Well, I mean, who does?
Because when he talks about Easter, it's hysterical.
No one.
He says, he goes, I would love to have it open up by Easter, but that's important for another reason. He doesn't mention Jesus because he doesn't want to be overstaged.
Yeah. But I've been saying that. I've been saying that for a while. Is nothing's gonna. The virus will still be here, but I really have the prediction of everything is going to hit the fan now until August.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
A lot of the medical rides that I'm getting right now, and I'm just watching, a lot of people are closed. I have people that I worked at Dignity Health that were case managers that they are not working right now. They closed their department. This is a hospital, and we're thinking, all healthcare workers are receiving a paycheck. No, there are subdivisions in the hospitals that they're not a need for because they need to save their resources for the overtime for the people that are working in the ERs and stuff and that are true medical. So there are a lot of places that are shutting down in the hospitals. And so talking to people while I'm doing Uber and stuff, it's just knowing that even though we're living here in the States, it's it affects us worse because we're so used to working. We're so used to making money and not doing it like we used to back in the day, making our own goods and stuff. And I'm not saying that we have to go crack the whip and get mules and stuff, but I'm just saying we just came so far from that culture that's why we're still running around here doing stuff. Everywhere else is shut down. Bakersfield, I can tell you, we're still moving around like nothing has ever happened.
Cheers to you for doing stuff. Cheers to you for doing Uber. I can't imagine how terrifying it is to be trapped in a car with somebody if they sneeze or cough, and I bet that's happened by now.
I have an N95 mask that I wear, and then I have another mask. I have sanitizer that I spray for in my car and stuff, but it's I talk to these people that are homeless. Medi-Cal. Thank God for Medi-Cal, because if I wasn't having that pay for their doctor's visits, I wouldn't be working right now because most of it is mostly medical through Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal is making sure that these people are going and getting to their doctors, but a lot of doctors are closing. The primary care doctors have signs in the front of their doors saying, if you are sick or feel that you are sick, go to the closest urgent care or ER.
Well,
So those people are not working, you know?
cheers to you for having the courage to go out and conduct business, because I bet there's times when you're like, screw this, I don't even want to do this anymore.
Right.
But everybody that's taking that risk and doing that, you're part of the solution, and it's appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, so, you know, in the last week we lost Joe Diffie, which is a great country artist, you know, from the 90s. He paved the way for every other country artist along the 90s. And now Adam Solinger from Fountains of Wayne is gone. We also, right now in the hospital is John, oh God, what's his name? Folk guy. I can't think of his name. John, help me out, you all. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I know Tom Hanks had it. Has it?
I'm talking about musicians here.
And his wife.
Not John Prine.
John Prine, yeah. He's in the hospital with COVID-19.
He's one of my songwriting heroes.
Yeah, he's in.
No question.
Right now.
He's one of the greatest songwriters in history.
God damn it, Post Malone and Justin Bieber are just healthy as horses.
Anyway, so John Prine, also a friend of mine, an acquaintance, Chad Stewart, who's in Faster Pussycat and a bunch of other 80s bands, the drummer. He's got COVID-19. The singer of Rammstein has COVID-19. He's on life.
Turned out he doesn't have it.
Oh, he doesn't have it?
No, they thought he might. He did have some issues, but yeah, he's not a corona casualty.
And then the guy that was the general in Star Wars, he passed away yesterday.
He just died, and he was the dialect coach too.
Oh, wow.
For Lord of the Rings. Ken, do you know that guy was?
What's his name?
No, this is actually the first I'm hearing about this.
Yeah, he was the dialect coach for all the actors in Lord of the Rings, you know, to make them speak, you know, proper British dialect.
And the guy that was in Bob the Builder passed away yesterday of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Bob the Builder.
And it's not just affecting old people anymore, and it's not just affecting.
No, that's the scary thing. They've always said that, and it's like a virus is a virus. It doesn't care how old you are. It's just that the cases that they knew of were people in that demographic from San Francisco, and that's what they were getting their statistics from. Was that what was it? The first 35, it was a convalescent. Well, all of them are sharing the same air, and then you had people in mixed ages, but the higher risk was the elderly, because at the end of the day, their immune system is going to be 10 times far as fragile as a healthy adult, because they're older.
That is his name. That was in Star Wars. He was in Force Awakens, and I think he was in The Last Jedi. He's
Andrew Jack, he was in the last 2 Star Wars films, with the exception of this past one.
76.
Mm-hmm.
He was 76 and died. And then the guy that was in Bob the Builder was Paul Natalie?
Mm-hmm.
No, Vincent Marzello. He was 68, and he was in The Witches, Never Say Never Again, and Bob the Builder. He passed away yesterday. And then, of course, Adam Salinger. I don't know how you say his name, from Fountains of Wayne now. So it's taking out everybody. I mean,
this is sadly only the beginning. I mean,
yeah, let's talk
the next 2 weeks where everything's gonna.
Yeah, next few weeks are going to be coming to a head. We're going to see some shit go down.
We have 3,000 down right now. We're going to go up to 100,000 in the next 2 weeks.
If the president never done what they did, which is, you know, tell everybody about distancing and trying to get these different places to, you know, keep people inside and all that, they said we would have lost 2 million people.
Yep.
Now they're saying if we only lose 200,000 people, it's a victory. Me personally, I don't understand how 200,000 people is a victory.
No, I don't think it's a victory, but it's.
I guess it's better than 2 million, but I mean, still.
Yeah, it's just, the problem is that the president was saying that there were 10 cases and it was going to go down to 0 a month ago or so.
Yeah.
And so people acted recklessly because he has tremendous influence over everybody.
Did you hear about the church here in Kentucky? They had
where they were putting hands on people. I saw that video. It was horrible.
there was a
Well, if you're
preacher
gonna dance around with snakes and drink strychnine, what's a little COV?
I know. There
What's
was
a little Corona?
There's a preacher that came in from Texas. There's 100 people there, and nobody knows if any of them are gonna get if they have COVID-19 or not.
They were licking their hands and touching each other. It was bizarre.
It's ridiculous. I'm telling you, you're right, Ryan. There's some
It was-
crazy ass people in Kentucky. They dance around with rattlesnakes and oh yeah, and then if it bites them, they're like, oh, we're not gonna get no help. And I'm like,
Don't worry, the strychnine drinking will kill the coronavirus. You know?
It was like Brody doing the stink palm to Michael Rooker and Mallrats.
It's terrible.
You know, people the corona pump. How about these little bastards going and like licking products in the grocery store and filming it and putting it on TikTok and shit?
Well, there was the NBA player Rudy Gobert who you know touched all the microphones before
They
he
caught
got
it.
out, and then he got it. You know, and
That's crazy.
and then there's Glenn Beck, you know, and Rush Limbaugh and Bret Hume, you know, who, and you know, especially Glenn Beck, where he says, "I'm willing to sacrifice my life for America's economy."
what the
I
hell?
said, "You're not getting it, dude.
Mhm.
That's not how this works." I said, "You're not sacrificing your life. You're sacrificing millions of lives."
Exactly.
I said,
It's ridiculous.
I just wanted to say, I know that y'all had a list of people that were famous that passed away, but my aunt passed away like on Thursday, not from corona, but she had cancer. And it's like people can't even go to funeral homes right now.
Nope.
"Nope.
Hope
You can't even get someone.
Can't even lay your family member to rest, man. That's like, you know, I mean, that is like they're forcing people and bullying people to cremate.
Well, Ken,
It used to
Ken
be
knows
your
that.
choice. Now they're
Ken
telling
knows
them
this.
to cremate. And now they're putting people in Brooklyn. They have people that are in freaking meat trucks because the morgues and
That's
shit.
what I was about
It's
to
like
talk about, yeah.
apocalypse. It's like the apocalypse there. Like some
Well, let me
some
ask you a
towns are
question.
not as touched.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, this disease might take out 200,000 people, but how many people die of the flu every year?
True.
Approximately about 300,000.
Yeah,
So-
but that's throughout the year. That doesn't happen
yeah,
in 2
that's-
months.
No.
It's
But the
it's
thing-
an
but
entirely
And
different
I don't
thing.
want to
That's been the
get all
argument.
like spiritual and stuff, but I feel it's weird because in the teachings of Jehovah Witness, they said at the end of days that there would be 144,000 that would be going to heaven. And the only reason why I'm touching base on this is because all of us have different backgrounds and different beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we all tapped into that divine, but we never came together. So now you have all of these different denominations that knew the truth, but because they didn't want to share it, you had to join it or whatever. A lot of people didn't know what they were going to foresee and stuff. And I'm not saying that the Jehovah's Witnesses are right. I'm just saying maybe they tapped into something and they didn't.
No,
They
because
didn't
I
really realize
Kiki,
what was
and
going on.
I
Nah, they're
appreciate,
probably
I
still
appreciate
wrong.
your statement. I appreciate your statement, but here's the thing. You can match any statement to fit the statistics you want. Anybody can.
True,
And-
but
and we've seen
I
this
feel that when
repeatedly.
you do
And
it,
by the way,
but-
I'm supposed to be one of the saved ones, right? Because I'm a Jewish guy.
You're
So
chosen.
I'm supposed to be one of the chosen ones who converts to Christianity and lives after this whole thing. But that's not important to our current situation. What's going on right now is a crisis that only government can help us through. And everybody in this country wants to distrust government and love the private sector. And the bottom line is the private sector is not going to get us out of this witness because the private sector is going to gouge us for all the money they can make, which is why the president did not invoke the, whatever they call it, the Defense Protection Act. It's quite simple because they were able to gouge prices for respirators and masks and other things like that and have states start competing with each other. We can't do that anymore. This is a real crisis. It has to happen now. We're going to have a second wave next fall.
True.
Where I disagree, I don't think the
we don't know what
government's
our
going to get us
jobs are
through
gonna
this.
look
I think
Right.
people are going to get us through this.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say is that there are so many people that had interpretations of what God was telling them stuff. They weren't listening to the signs to help them in this. It's here, but a lot of people are not realizing that it was talking about
why
this.
does God create a pandemic?
Yeah, you're Jewish and I'm Christian, so it's a total.
Because he has a very sick sense of humor.
Right, exactly.
You asked.
I mean, you know,
Let me
if
tell
He just
you,
wants to bring people
if
to
you're
heaven.
a Christian right now, a lot of people, and I'm just going by what I'm talking to with people when I'm doing my Uber. Just, and this is just what I'm hearing. And a lot of them were like, yeah, God's on earth right now. And we're in Revelations. And it's like, you know, at the end of the world, it was just a lot of pestilence, a lot of sickness. And that's what is in the book of Revelations. And I'm just saying, when you tap into the divine, because I am a reader, and I said, I'm not getting biblical. I'm just saying, when you tap into that energy, they were telling people in different religions to gear yourself up because of the end. But a lot of people weren't listening to the message of whatever your background was. A lot of people were self-absorbed and they weren't spiritually listening to their divine. Yes, Mike?
so in Walmart, a 36 roll of toilet
He
paper.
goes back to Walmart.
Listen. This is the kind of bullshit that pisses me off. 36 pack of fucking toilet paper that wouldn't wipe shit off John Wayne's ass was $29.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
All right, can I sum
$29 for 36 rolls
You
of
got him
toilet
choking.
paper.
can I sum all this up
Something does.
real quick? It doesn't matter what you believe in or at what Walmart you shop at. I'm a firm believer of Darwinism, and this is all still, survival of the fittest by the time this is all said and done.
Yeah, you ever notice the
Right.
people you see walking down the street look like the human version of Corona?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, Kiki, driving Uber.
Wait,
Yes.
You
let
see
him
him walking
finish
down
his
the
point.
street,
Let him
and
finish
you're
his
like,
point.
God damn, you're
No.
going to be the first to go.
Let him
But they
finish
won't
his
be. They'll be
point.
like cockroaches, and they will outlive all of us that are
Okay.
taking all the precautions in the world.
Let him finish his point.
No, it just, again, it doesn't, personally, again, Tirsa and I have talked about religion and stuff in the past, and, something like this, I don't really base religion on, to be honest. Again, it's science, and it's just common sense. And if you just don't follow the rules, and what is that?
Looks like a good bottle of whiskey.
That's what it looks like. I'm
It doesn't
jealous
look like there's
right
enough
about
of
now.
it gone, though, Mike. You need to start picking up on that.
But Ken, I'm listening because I'm interested.
No, it's just following the rules. It's just common sense. And those that are stupid enough to go out and not follow the rules, I mean, I hate to say it, kind of deserve to not be around anymore in a situation like
Right.
this.
The only thing scary is that all you basically have are Walmart and the grocery stores. They chuck it down to a few hours a day. So that's where everybody's meeting all at once, and they're not social distancing. So, I mean, if you're going out for provisions, you're taking a risk. Or if you're, like, interacting with somebody in your family that's gone out for them, I mean, it can get really ugly really quick, even for those of us taking precautions.
Right.
Yeah, it's a scary fucking thing, for sure.
Right.
Well, and if you have the regular flu and then get this flu, I don't care how healthy you are. And I think that's something nobody's been talking about. And I think that is an absolute reality, is that that's why some of the younger people have been dying, because I think there's nothing that says you can't get both.
Okay.
No,
It
there's
happens.
nothing that says that you can't get both.
And
But
when you
it's
get
just
both,
some of the things that people are doing
You're
when they're
toast.
going out and self-quarantining is ridiculous. Like when you leave your house and you have freaking gloves on, come on, man, you're going to make more people sick. That's not really protecting anyone. You're just spreading your germs.
Yep, I agree.
Well, they
And
don't know better
it's-
than to touch their face with their gloves on. Still.
No,
Yeah,
it's
that's the only
hysterical.
rule they follow.
I was watching a guy with a mask on with no gloves on, and I told Ken this story. He had no gloves on, but he had a mask on, and he was yelling at his kid to go back in the house. And then he walked down the street and he touched the cross the street button with his bare hand. I was like, what are you doing?
Then reached up.
Hey, look, I had gloves on today, and I just said, fuck it. I'm like, I'm just gonna use some freaking. We found some what do you call it?
Hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer.
Yeah. We found some. It was $2.98 a bottle, but we bought 2 of them bitches today. And we're like, we're just wash our hands. This glove shit's for the birds. I mean, look. Let's just face it. If we're gonna get it, we're gonna get it. There's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
It isn't.
And no offense.
And no offense. Give it to other people.
Well, that hand sanitizer stuff is bullshit too. I mean, to be honest, because all that's going to do is just
slime it all around your freaking hands.
Well, not even that, but the more you use it, it decreases all of the things that help protect your body.
It kills
too.
healthy flora on your hands and makes you more susceptible to actually catching shit. I know that.
Ken and I have talked about this.
Sorry, got it. We all probably
Ken and I have talked about this for years because my ex-wife has an immune deficiency, and people using hand sanitizer actually makes her much more susceptible to the bacteria and virus that people can spread. And so hand sanitizer for her is an absolute evil.
Big no. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is such a thing as overdoing it and overwashing your hands, and they never bring that up. I mean, you learn a long time ago when you're in the piercing and tattoo industry. Obviously, you got to wash your hands in between people, but you can't overdo it. If you start getting dry and cracked hands from it, it's going to cause problems. And we also learn really quick that hand sanitizer is a double-edged sword.
I got to say, that's an amazing observation and so true. It's absolutely true. It's that's extraordinary that you point that out because it's so true. It just really is.
And they never bring that up. I mean, they just tell you to continually wash your hands. No. I mean, obviously and this is the government. They're obviously telling people what they want to hear. They're in a really fucked up situation. This is one time where they're deers in the headlights. They're not planning this. They're terrified just like everybody else is, and they're just running their mouth trying to keep people pacified.
But they had the information. I mean,
it's up to us to stay calm and keep some common sense about us.
They had this information 2 months ago, and it comes from the top of our government. You know, and that's the problem, is that this information was available 2 months ago, and they were, and I get it. I mean, everybody gets it, because look what's happening to our economy, right? Nobody thought that. Can you imagine? I mean, I don't care who was president, even if it weren't Trump, right? But to completely tank the government, go from 3% unemployment to 20+% inside of, a couple of months. That is staggering. I mean, no president would be okay with that. Go ahead, Mike.
Me and Hope were looking forward to getting some Chinese food where we always get Chinese food. Both places were closed until further notice. And then I was in Walmart, and the place where they always get nails done, the place was cleaned out. They didn't even have the nail place there anymore. It is so weird to go out. I haven't been out since last Saturday but twice, and that was to get milk in my hometown and stuff. But to go to a bigger city, because that's where we shop, because it's cheaper, it was so weird just, going down the road and seeing the difference in people. Like, places that you would see just completely exploded with people. It was just, I'm getting cold chills because it was just so weird. It was like, haircut places closed, tattoo shops closed.
Laundromats.
Well, and people are taking it more and more seriously as it goes on. At first, everybody was kind of like, namby-pamby about it. And then people are realizing it's a real fucking problem. And, I mean, it's a good thing that things are looking like ghost towns. I mean, that's what's going to, the cooperation of staying in is going to be what saves our heads.
For me, and I know for some of you all that live in bigger cities, like, I know that Kiki lives in Bakersfield. And I know that, I'm not exactly sure you all live in New Jersey or whatever.
We're right outside of New York City.
But
I feel for you, man. That's a scary place to be right now, dude.
The point is, it's so weird just going to, in my little small town where, people are like, why don't you get an Uber to go somewhere? I'm like, what, you mean call next door neighbor and ask him, can you use his cow to go to town? I mean, we ain't got fucking Uber. I mean, we ain't got Uber Eats. We ain't got shit like that. I didn't even know what Uber Eats or Uber was until I went to a convention in Lexington.
Well,
what is
hold
the
on.
stuff you're talking about,
To put a couple of things in perspective too, Tirsa was bringing it up too. I live about 15 to 20 minutes outside of Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
And where I work, one of the main offices is actually right across the street from 30 Rockefeller Plaza. And just hearing some of the stories of what's going on over there, the amount of businesses, especially restaurants, shutting down are ridiculous, and the amount of people out of work is staggering. But even just the idea of what we even see like on TV and the movies, just what Times Square itself looks like normally, with like hundreds, thousands of people walking around at any moment during the day. Apparently at the most now is like 50 people.
Wow.
It's crazy. And when you talk about Ghost Town, I mean, it almost does kind of remind me like something out of like that first season or first couple episodes of like The Walking Dead or something.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would add this too, Ken, that people who tried to liken this to 9/11, it's not the same. This is much worse. We're talking about casualties greater than we had in World War II.
Let's just hope that everybody keeps their cool and it doesn't turn out that there's rioting and.
That's like.
But we're still going to have casualties more than World War II in 2 months' time. I mean, we have roughly 3,000 dead now. We're going to lose another 200,000 or thereabouts in the next 2 months.
Well, that's like
that's pretty crazy shit.
Did you see Samuel Jackson read a story yesterday?
Stay the fuck at home.
Stay the fuck inside, or stay the fuck home.
Who better than Sam?
He's like, stay the fuck home. I mean, Jesus Christ, what do you people don't understand?
Speaking of funny, my buddy actually came over and he gave me an early birthday present because with my birthday's until mid-May, so I think he thinks we're all gonna either die or be completely on shutdown. But I don't know if he's looking out for me because he found these in his mother's basement. He gave me a set of jarts, a mint set of jarts.
Oh, I love it.
The original with the sharp ends. So, I'm doomed because, I mean, with those in the house.
Okay, I have another question for everybody on the board here. I guess we'll call it that. When do you think we open up for business again? Like all of us.
By December?
I say by September.
I say like fully functional by December.
I mean, I think things are going to open up before that.
I guess it all depends on what your idea of opening back up is. Because I said, even at this point, there are so many businesses already closed for good because of this right now. Like going back to normal is ridiculous.
No, and I agree. I mean, Ken, you know that I work as a tennis professional and I do horror conventions. And I mean, I have no idea when I'm going to do the next horror convention because those are just giant, big hug and cough fest.
Yeah. I mean, I was pissed when we had to cancel the last two because of this thing now.
I know, it's ridiculous. And I was going to go to Germany finally. But my point being...
Ultimate irony, if you don't mind me saying.
I know. But my point being...
I just got that.
Yeah. But I...
Oh, my God.
That was funny. But my point being... I mean, when are we even going to get back to, like, even a limited sense of normalcy? And so Kiki said December, Mike said September.
Well, we're never going to get back normal because, after 9/11, everybody was shook and the frequencies were a little different. I feel that
I went back to work the next day after 9/11. I mean, I wasn't able to. I missed my brother's wedding, which was on September 14th, but I went to work the next day.
Right.
So that's a totally different circumstance than this, you know?
I totally disagree.
What I'm saying is that the emotions of how everyone is right now, no one's ever going to be normal after this because there's just a lot of things that were on hold. But I'm just saying that everyone's just like going back to work and all that.
I totally disagree with all of you. I think that once this place opens back up again, We're going to be going to movies. We're going to be going to concerts. We're going to be going and doing things with our families more picnics, more family outings. We're going to be so outside and doing things outside our house. There ain't going to be one motherfucker at the house or at a goddamn Walmart, okay? I don't think anybody is going to be anywhere but
Well, yeah.
outside.
Well, I think that's a positive.
I don't know. I mean, I almost think the paranoia is going to stick a little while. I don't think it's going to go quite.
Yeah, you know what, Ryan? I actually agree. Again, going back with the whole thing that Jonathan brought up with the convention mentality too. I'd almost be, what's the word? Lenient about or cautious about trying to jump back into a scenario like that, where those are mostly known for, you leaving a convention with con flu.
Right.
Always get a cold after every convention, that.
Exactly.
I know everyone I've ever done ended up something came
No,
of it.
you do, and I understand why Ken is reticent. I think that was the word you were looking
In my
for,
case, STDs abound, but otherwise, it's
no, but it's, and that's, I'm looking at some of the horror con runners and stuff and saying, God, man, what are you guys going through right now? Because their future is, I teach tennis. People are still going to want to learn how to play tennis.
Yeah.
But
everyone's just putting their lives in perspective. I think we just were a bunch of big kids not thinking that the world would have a consequence like this.
All right,
this isn't going to be the last time. I mean, it's
not.
But I just feel that some people were not mentally prepared because they didn't really have anything tragic happen like this on a global scale. We heard older people
I'm going to pose this question to all you guys then.
Okay.
When is this going to happen again?
In the fall.
No, I'm not even talking about this particular.
Oh, the next big disaster? Are you talking?
The next big disaster, which this is sort of X-Files shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, look at it this way, JT. I mean, it's statistical too. This thing's huge right now. It's still a virus. Viruses mutate. Once this is cured, God knows when the next one is going to come along that's going to be a strand of something much bigger, much worse, much scarier.
Yep. And that's what I'm asking. And
no one knows.
Well, keep in mind, though, they will come up with a vaccine.
No, but they'll do a vaccine for this one, but there's going to be another one.
And then something else. I mean, once they get a grasp on it, it might end up just like the H1N1 was, or even the Spanish flu, where people are able to immunize against it.
Well, look at it.
Let's hope.
Well, look at it with the common flu virus. How many times have we gotten a flu virus where they come out and said, well, this year we weren't prepared for this strain and your flu virus isn't going to...
So it's never going to, we're always going to be dealing with it. It's just something else that we're going to be dealing with. It's going to be, life as we know it is changing. We're going to always deal with Miss Corona. She's never going away.
When it shuts down the world's economy, which it did, and it has, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many more times can we survive this? I mean,
and that's why I'm saying spiritually it's above us. It's above us. We're just humans on a spiritual aspect. We're scientifically and spiritually, it is above us. Yep. We can't control it. There's no mantra that I can say that can control that. Literally, she is going to come back. And when she comes back, she'll either come back with a vengeance or she'll come back with just like, it's just a new thing of the flu or whatever. I'm praying that it's the lesser and not the greater.
Let's just hope it's not biological warfare and it's not a.
Well, that's my conspiracy. But Jonathan was getting all mad last week. He
Well, let's put it this way: even if this wasn't
I don't
done
think
for
people
this
are
reason,
that smart.
People are now.
They are.
Look how many mass shootings happen after a few.
I think they mess around. I think they mess around with viral things and all that stuff. But I don't think they're that smart that they do it on purpose. I'm not saying that it's not humanly caused because global warming.
I'm just saying, if you can tell somebody that you can.
Let me just bring up global warming, okay? Because so many conspiracy theorists are anti-human caused global warming, which is a great irony, right?
Uh-huh.
That's a terrible irony because we know that humans, mostly America, and a little bit of China caused global warming.
I don't think that you have Mexican friends that show you footage of their friends chopping off heads with machetes. Like
Hold
it's
on.
like
Hold on a second.
people
Hold
are
on a second.
disgusting and mean.
Hold on a second. Go on, Mike.
I'll settle this. Okay, stay with me. The world is round.
Right.
Elvis dead.
Shaquille O'Neal doesn't believe that.
Listen. Listen. Okay, just listen, everybody.
I'm glad the world is round.
The world is round. Elvis is dead. Wrestling's not fake. And blasphemy.
You lost me on the last
every one of you, okay?
Hey, JT, I got scars that prove to you that wrestling's not fake.
I know it's not fake,
and
but it's predetermined. There's a difference.
Okay, but
by the way,
created this virus.
To answer that,
for the
news
environment.
is not fake. Okay, news is not fake. It's an interpretation. It's not fake.
But anyway,
sometimes it's kind of fake.
Well, a lot of it is fake, but not the news that Donald Trump says is fake.
Me and Ken were talking earlier, and I was telling him that it has come about now that Vince McMahon is laying everybody off for a month to 2 months, and there will be no new wrestling for the next month to 2 months at all after WrestleMania this weekend.
Is he still paying them?
I have no clue because Braun Strowman swears up and down that he's not been paid for a month.
I'm guessing actually what they did was they're getting paid a little bit of extra because I'm sure they're actually pre-taping a lot of stuff to get them through a couple of weeks.
He said the way they're talking is Braun Strowman said he didn't get paid for like the last month.
Well, when you're not on TV as much, you're not going to get paid
well,
anyway. So
well, it's like Dana White saying that UFC 249 is going to happen. It's ridiculous.
I mean,
obviously that fight is doomed, has been doomed forever, and there's no way that fight is happening.
And CM Punk needs to go back
and
to
I
wrestling.
Can't pronounce his name, so I don't want to even try.
Life.
I can say Ferguson versus because that guy's got too many syllables in his last name. But and I really wanted to see that fight. I truly did. But
you know who I want to see fight? I want to see Jake Hager fight. They say he's undefeated. I like to see him fight.
Well, they don't say he's undefeated. He is undefeated.
Yeah, but I've never seen him.
There's a lot of good fights out there, but the bottom line is we can't do any public events. They just canceled Wimbledon.
I know.
I'm a tennis professional. They canceled Wimbledon, for God's sakes.
Because we are little ants on this planet, and we keep forgetting that. Yeah, and I'm not going to, I keep, it's just beyond us. It's just so beyond us.
This little planet, which is a piece of tiny space dust.
Yeah. Well, we're even littler. So it's just, it really is putting things into perspective for a lot of people. However you believe, it's just beyond us. We can talk about this until 8:00 at night. It's just beyond us. And life as we all know it is just going to change. And there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt that life is not going to change. Because there's always a cause and effect. There's always a cause and effect. It just so happens that we were alive during this cause. Polio was around. People survived.
Can I bring something up, Kiki, specifically? My son said to me, who's 14, he said, "Dad, you had 9/11. This is my 9/11." He said, I've studied World War II. And he said, from what I gather, everybody has had one great event.
Yeah.
Great traumatic event in their lifetime. And he said, I'm never going to forget this one. And that made me cry. Because I didn't want him to have to live through it. Ever.
Yeah.
And Ken knows my son. He's spoken to him. And it just, that hurt me to no end. I don't want him to have to go through this. It's not fair.
JT, I hate to say it, brother, but I mean, like, look at all the stuff that we've been going through too. I mean, actually, you weren't up here or over by me when when Sandy hit. But I mean, between 9/11, Sandy, this, I mean, that's 3 huge instances within, what, a 20-year period?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
that didn't used to happen. Katrina
Because
too.
the earth is cleansing herself. It's just, I mean, I don't know. I'm the spiritualist on here, and I'm just saying.
I don't think
She's
the earth is
cleansing
cleansing
herself.
itself. I think we are destroying the earth and
Yeah, but
big,
when you see
big
what,
doggy,
but
big
wait,
doggy
Jonathan, when
doo-doo.
you see the skyline from Los Angeles from 40 days ago till today, and you can't tell me that the earth is not cleansing herself because there's
Yeah, but
not
that's
that
all-
much smog.
But Kiki, that's all human created.
But that's what I'm
But-
saying, and
Maybe the earth is cleansing itself of human beings. That I get. That I'm
just
Yeah,
not-
Mother
explaining
Nature might just be giving us a spanking.
No,
Right.
I mean, it just the homocentric idea of humanity is so bizarre. We have by all that history dictates. I mean, by all that science dictates, we have discovered 10% of the species that exist on this planet as humans.
But
We
I'm
have
not
discovered
talking about
10%.
creation, love. I'm not talking about creation.
No, but that's my
I'm just
point.
saying spiritually, in a spiritual aspect, we
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
that's only based
we
on
don't-
humanity.
I have no idea. I'm just saying my thoughts, and I
No,
just
get
have.
it. I'm not arguing with you.
No,
I'm just saying
I-
that is
I-
only based on a human perspective.
And some
It's
people
not based
have
on the
to,
perspective of an ant,
some people
or a
have
bat.
to grasp spirituality, superstitions, so their brain don't pop. Some people have to grasp scientific logic, so their brain don't hurt. You have to have logic to make you feel better at night. That's why you don't let people get a word in edgewise, because it's a logical reasoning in your head. And I'm just here to tell you, I am very attuned with my spirituality. And I'm trying to tell you that it is beyond us. However we try to explain it, it is beyond.
No, and I
So,
agree
yeah.
with you entirely, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and you're absolutely right about my hypothesis or hypotheses. You are absolutely dead on that. I rely on science to try and
Mhm.
figure out how I feel about things.
And
But
there's
I
nothing
think
wrong with that.
I think there's a benefit to humankind to do that, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Me personally, I'm not a very spiritual person, so I can't really say anything about it because I'm not, It's been, I'm not one of those kind of guys that talks about that kind of stuff, really. I try not to talk about it much because, all I do is piss people off, so.
Better be pissed off than pissed on.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people like being
Yeah,
pissed.
because that depends on the person.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I would like a R. Kelly sometime.
Oh,
Whoa, she went there. Wait a minute.
Chappelle version of it.
Oh, my
Come
God.
on, you.
Nah, man, because y'all getting all dark. It's like, Jesus. Dang. Mike just got real tense right there. It was just like, I just really don't. Like, oh, dang, Mike getting serious.
Yeah, he just pulled.
I know what cheer Mike up. Just a little bit of water sports there. That'll.
Just a little bit. I'll give you a little bit of lemonade. Squirt, squirt.
Mike just pulled this Harrison Ford impression where he's like, "Hey kid, let me tell you something. This is not going to be good."
You all see this? Look at this
He's
bottle.
getting further and further down on that bottle. I remember that being 3/4 full when we started.
Oh, you got your drink? I got my drinks too.
He has drank every bit of it. Don't shut up.
That's the real tonic.
Shut up.
Oh my God. I think you were about to say something, Mike, before they cut you off.
I'm
Which
trying
is
to get
totally
this-
ironic for
That's
me
what
to
I'm
say.
saying.
Oh.
All I was going to say is, listen, at the end of the day, let's just hope for the best. That's all we can do.
That's what we can do.
We can't really do nothing about it. All we
Try
can do
not
is
to lose our humanity, hope for the best, and just
Yeah,
play it out and
and
ride the
just-
wave because none of us know what the fuck's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Good go.
we just got to keep on going. I mean, if we just stop and lay down, then how's that going to help anything? Me,
Well,
I'm
I can say
excited
for
because
my
I can
part,
see AEW tonight. I'm I'm excited.
I'm glad Ken joined this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
For what little I had to contribute, thank you guys for having me.
No, it's and you know this better than anybody, Kenny. And I've said this repeatedly. It's the hardest thing for me in the world. Listening is the greatest benefit. And I told you when I told Ken about this whole podcast, I said, you got people from the most different walks of life ever. And I said, and it can be very uncomfortable. And that's awesome.
And
because otherwise we're just preaching to the choir,
Yeah, nobody needs an echo chamber.
Ken's a Tiger King. Look at him. He's got a tiger behind him.
I'm just jealous of his.
Listen,
I'm jealous of his marijuana.
Yeah, right. Now, listen. First off, guys, thank you for having me. One of the things that I know that JT knows about me too. Again, from the shows I do, it's all just entertainment and pop culture and all that stuff. I vowed when I do my shows that I don't really get political. I don't really get in situations like this because you never know who you're going to upset. This was completely different from me, especially when I got like 5 different guys giving like completely different commentaries at times and views. So that was a little bit of a culture shock for me. So thank you guys for making me a part of that too.
We popped his cherry.
We do it every
I might be walking funny for about a week, Kiki. Thank you.
Well, I think the nice thing about this get together,
dealing with bad stress.
Is that nobody ends up going away mad. I mean, we actually got a little more political last week, but we did a little bit this week. But in the end, we have a few laughs. We walk away smiling, and everybody's still friends. I mean, that's we're setting an example alone by just doing that.
Listen, let's go over the big points here, okay? First one, Kiki wants to be R. Kelly.
She wants to be beat on by R. Kelly.
Okay? Kiki wants to be R. Kelly. Jonathan still hates Donald Trump. Okay?
Oh, that's true.
Ryan's going to still have horns, no matter when we see him. And Ken's going to have a fucking tiger behind him and be the Tiger King the rest of his life.
Better than other things that I might be known for, I'll be honest.
Ken, you're the Tiger King.
What you won't be, Mike?
Okay, share us the story behind that artwork behind you now, because it is obviously a tiger.
Yes, actually, it was my wife's that she painted when she was in high school, actually, and it's been sitting up on the wall for 20 years.
See, did she realize how prophetic that would be?
20 years ago? Probably not. Or actually, probably more than 20 years ago now, but yeah.
I'm the vodka king.
He's the vodka king?
If I was any kind of king, I think I'm the pumpkin king, but otherwise...
Kiki and I are trying to get high as hell. Isn't it nice, though, Kiki, that you can still go to the dispensaries because it's an essential business?
Fucking yeah.
I'll tell you what, I gotta be honest with you guys. I miss California so much because I could call and in 10 minutes I'd get a fucking...
Deliver it like a fucking pizza.
Get the gotcha.
It's faster than a pizza.
JT, you still aren't that far from Manhattan that you can make a couple calls.
Well, but I can't go to Manhattan and they can't come to me.
Oh.
So Jersey, it's not legal yet?
No.
Jersey is the most backward state ever.
No. It's still on the table. It's still being talked about. I mean, it's not like they're saying no.
My brother Billy worked in Jersey government for years, and he said Jersey's government makes Chicago look clean.
Right. I mean, I'm in New York, and I got my card here. I don't,
I didn't need a card in LA. I didn't need anything.
Well, I lived in California for 4 years when it got turned legal for recreational use. Yes, it was much better in California.
Dude, it was
really
insane.
good in Denver, Colorado too.
I could text. I didn't even need to call. I could.
Oh yeah,
text.
you go on app on your phone, go on Weed Maps.
Yep,
you can pick your stuff out, and they'll drive it to you.
And they were like, and I would just jump from website to website because they were like, $20 off your first order. So for $5, I would get enough pot to last me a month.
All I gotta do is go on my phone and go, buds who know JT, blah blah. Okay, here we go.
All I gotta do is.
Can I really order
that I
pot
can
in New
get knocked in
Jersey?
the
Wait,
face.
Ken, I didn't know that.
I can give you a source offline here where you could just have somebody ship it to you. You know, you get on there.
Yeah, you gotta go to Weed Maps.
That would be nice because
I
something's
can't
got to
get here.
cut down my drinking.
We'll take care of you, buddy.
I can't get. I'd love to have some of those magical.
Who's looking out for R. Kelly, for God's sakes?
Apparently, Kiki.
Kiki wants R. Kelly to do the doo-doo on
Can you
her.
help me? Can you help me?
Is he in jail?
I think we're getting to know Kiki better and
Wait,
better.
is he in
each
jail?
episode.
Kiki,
I'm just asking.
R. Kelly's in
Kiki.
jail right now.
Kiki,
Oh, okay.
That motherfucker locked up. They ain't even releasing him. He
Kiki.
could get all
Speaking
those
of the grave, so is
Hey.
Weinstein.
Yeah, he getting
supposedly
pissed on
Weinstein has-
every
Yeah,
night.
it's
I'm
R.
sorry-
Kelly
sorry
and
to tell
Harvey
you, Kiki, but
Weinstein
you're
are
too old for
selling
R. Kelly.
neighboring cells.
Who, me?
Yeah, he likes
I'm too
little
old for R.
14-year-olds.
Kelly?
He likes
Hmm.
14-year-olds.
I believe I can fly.
Oh, he had a couple of look, but
I
when you
believe
watch
I
the-
need to pee again.
I hope they don't toss my salad. Cause my ass ain't meant for it.
Kiki,
They
you're a
gonna
naughty,
make
naughty
me
girl.
sore. I'm gonna be holding on my cell door.
You gotta put pillow biting in the lyrics in there somewhere.
Oh my god.
She's gonna be holding on to that cell door. I'm telling you.
Woo! I was like,
Mine's
Kiki,
kinda-
what you doing? I'm just using my baton. I'm just using my baton. R. Kelly, just keep still.
Yes.
Okay, on that note, I'm getting high, man. We gotta go. That's
Where I realize why prisons are segregated between sexes.
Hey, listen.
Because I'd be terrified to be in prison with Kiki.
There'd be a
Why,
lot of
if I were in
babies
prison,
going on
she'd
in
be
there.
exactly
Oh,
who I want
God.
to be in there with.
I'll just slip you some pruno. Freshly baked pruno. And I'll toss your salad.
Well, if
I
you're gonna
just-
toss mine.
I need peanut butter for the lube.
Oh my God.
Well,
My
that just
wife
sounds like a
loves the
normal
pruno.
Saturday night for me.
I want Kiki to be my cellmate.
Ken makes pruno at home.
Oh, don't you?
I
I'm
just don't
sorry.
know the recipe.
That's just a staple of my household. What are you, crazy?
He's like, that's a staple in his house. That's terrible. Hey, I worked in prison though. Pruno's no joke. When those fuckers burp and fart, oh my God, it's like their insides exploded. It's like, bleh. I'm like, oh my God, it's so nasty. Oh,
I can imagine the damage
That's more
they do their
information
toilet
than I
sinks.
needed.
I hate release day. Release day sucks because those fuckers get those dang Pruno bombs and just be going at it, and it just stinks. It's just ugh.
I was in Big
We're
Lots.
gonna have to. We're gonna and without saying this too specifically, we're gonna have to delve into that.
Oh, I'm down. I am so down.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you
I
this.
have some freaking stories, man.
What happens when a superhero goes to jail?
Before we go, I was in Big Lots.
Get the cavity search.
I did a sign.
Wow, now you've referenced Big Lots and
Big Lots,
Walmart. Well
and-
done.
And Hope comes up behind me. She goes, "You fucker! What'd you do that for?" I said, "I didn't do nothing." Then I let another one rip, and she goes, "You can't blame it on Dakota. That was your ass that time."
You stinking up big lots.
Big Lots.
I just blame it on the California barking spider.
The Bakersfield Barker.
Yeah, but see, my booty's so big it claps.
Like, oh, that one moved me. I think I just bucked my own.
That
Like
was
you sound like a butt shot.
That takes,
I'm glad
that
this
takes
serious
talent without
conversation-
twerking.
I'm glad this
It
serious
does.
conversation
It does.
ended
It's
so,
like it just claps. It's like it sounds like a Sean Paul song.
or a Kenny G sax solo.
They call it the stinky twerk.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But sometimes when I do Uber, it's like, man, some people be letting them rip in my car. They're freaking nasty. Yeah, let's talk about that, fecal matter assholes.
I think you should get a bonus for that, like the puke bonus. When they puke
yeah, we should get a bonus. We should get
too hard.
Have you all ever seen the show Holy Moly?
Never have. But on that note, I have to go, you guys, because I have to turn in my homework.
Well, hold on. Let me tell you this. So check out Holy Moly, because he got this. It's the craziest shit. It's on Netflix or Hulu. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, they do these things to distract these players that play miniature golf. Okay.
Oh, I have seen this. Yeah, it's on ABC.
And they had Kenny G on there one day trying to distract the golf, the mini golfer, and he's like playing his little Kenny G shit, and they're just like totally ignoring his ass. That's how he was like, what the hell?
Well, his ass should be totally ignored.
Hold on. Well, I gotta go too, guys. I gotta take care of Drunky over here.
Cheers, everybody. It was fun talking to you.
No worries. Have a good night,
Welcome
guys.
Thanks for
to
making the
Long Shot
isolation a little more tolerable, everybody.
Yeah.
Until next Wednesday.
And thank you guys again for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, nice meeting
Over
you.
now.